Hey Food Slayers, it's Michelle here from foodslaying.com. I'm making a short video because I was thinking about something that I think is really important, especially right now during this whole food supply chain breakdown. If you're watching the news, then you know that Smithfield Farms, which is one of the largest pork producers in the United States, if not in the world, it was purchased a couple of years ago by a Chinese conglomerate, and they are already predicting food shortages in meat, and that's adding to the concern, I think, of people, especially people who eat meat. Obviously, no judgment if you eat meat, but it does mean that we are going to start seeing food shortages in the meat department if we're not already seeing them right now. And so it got me thinking about how we can build resilience in our communities in the food supply chain. For a long time I was on the board of the community foods market in West Oakland, and that community was designated as a food desert. And having access to fresh, healthy food is really important for all of us, especially people who are in, below the poverty line or who are economically challenged, which I think we're all economically challenged right now, particularly with the rate of unemployment right now. A lot of people, millions and millions of Americans have just applied for food assistance and benefits more than, in any other time in our lifetimes. So it's and the cost of food is going up. We're seeing the food shortages. Like there's just no immediate end in sight for what's happening right now. So it got me thinking about how to strengthen our local communities. Obviously, I did a video this past week about CSAs and growing your own food, because you can grow your own food anywhere. But in some cases, that's just not possible for a lot of people. If you live in a city or you live in a community where you don't have space to grow food, you don't have a balcony, you don't have a backyard. I mean, you can grow food in those places too, but if you just don't do that, how can we make sure that we are resilient and sustainable, self-sustainable and self-reliant, to bridge the gap between what's happening right now and whenever it comes to an end. And so I saw this article on the Aspen Institute website that talked about how communities, when they are subsidized by government and donations, they're not particularly resilient if the local community is not involved. And I think it's really important for all of us to start making connections in our local communities for economic benefit, to keep the money in the community, for food benefit, to keep the food circulating around the community. So if you have the ability and the space to grow food that you can share with neighbors in some kind of partnership, that will help strengthen your community. If you aren't growing food and you have a neighbor who has a backyard, or someone in the suburbs who has some, a little piece of land, a half acre, a quarter acre, or whatever, you can plant intensively and grow a lot of food. Or someone in the suburbs who can actually raise meat chickens, or, back in the 1950s, rabbits were the meat of choice before the chicken industry became what it is. A lot of our ancestors, they would eat squirrels and they would eat rabbits because rabbits are one of the more sustainable meats to raise. They're quiet, they only eat grass, they grow really big depending on the breed. And so, it's about connecting with our communities to build food security and food resilience in a sustainable way that is economically feasible for all of us. And I think that will help us get through this time. So I encourage you to reach out to your neighbors, start building local economies, start building local food supply chains in whatever way that you can. If you do grow food, maybe you can, set up a little stand in your community or talk to your local grocer and have them become a buyer so that you can distribute some of your goods. I don't know what the laws are in your particular community, so definitely look into that. But it's just got me thinking about resilience, and that's really, really important during this time. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening into the podcast. If you are new here and hearing me for the first time, head on over to foodslang.com and check out the podcast. I did an episode back in March when the pandemic was just ramping up, and it's called How Food Secure Are You? And I was talking about what's happening right now. So head over there and check that out. I've also done a couple of podcasts talking to people, interviewing people. I interviewed Shay Myers and Corey Sharp of Hemp Logic USA, who puts out a lot of videos, both of them put out a lot of really great videos about what's happening on the big ag side. And that's really important to understand too. It's not to say that small farms and small farmers can even replace big agriculture, but during this time, we can bridge the gap by coming together, working together, and making sure that we have food on the table every night. So thank you again for listening. Be sure to tune in. There are a couple of really great episodes coming up this week. So just go over to foodslang.com and you can sign up for the newsletter there so you can get exclusive podcast episodes. And just remember to eat clean, eat healthy, and love your food. And I'll see you on the other side of the plate. Ciao.